The rent is too damn high. The rent is too damn high. We have people across the country struggling to keep a roof over their heads. We are the wealthiest nation in the history of the world outside of ancient African civilizations. Yet we cannot provide housing for every single person in our country.
You want to know what's funny, right? The average cost of rent rose up from $2,000 to $3,000, right? And if you're supposed to make 3 times the amount of your rent in order to qualify to be able to rent a place, that means you had to make $9,000 a month, meaning you had to make over $90,000 a year, right? Come here. That means even if you were to make $25 an hour at your job, you still would not be able to afford to stay at a place by yourself. And people are saying, oh, we'll just get a roommate. Nobody likes roommates, and you can't even rely on the roommate to either come up with their half of the rent, and if anything, they're more of a liability. Putting their name on the lease is even more stressful. And notice how we're just talking about renting. We're not talking about getting a house, because virtually that's just impossible at this point. So yes, none of this is fun. Being an adult isn't fun.
No, I feel like renting an apartment is a fucking scam. Because what the fuck you mean first month and last month's rent? I never lived there last month. I don't know who the fuck lived there last month, but it wasn't me. Why am I sitting there paying first month, last month's rent? And you want me to qualify? Oh, you make sure you're able to afford 3 times the rent. 3 times the rent, bitch. What the fuck? Eggs is $100. Y'all bitches is so fucking greedy. Y'all just a greedy bitch. Because what? First month and last month's rent? Who lived there last month? Nobody was there last month. I wasn't in there. I don't know who the fuck you had, Jimmy and his 6 kids, bitch. I wasn't in there.
I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say this humbly in hopes that I inspire someone on this Tuesday morning. My biggest flex in life right now is that, baby, I work a corporate job, but I live in a $900 apartment in the city.
So this is not to be pessimistic. I'm just a realist. But do not feel bad for doing what you have to do in this economy. I've been seeing people post about how they had to give up their new car, or how they had to go back to a 9-to-5 after doing entrepreneurship, move back in with their parents. And I know that it sucks. I just wanted to stress to you that it's not your fault. It's really the economy. As a millennial who lived through pre-pandemic and then now, it was totally different. Yes, I was able to pay off my car, but my car note was $300 a month. It was only $16,000 for a brand new car at that time. You can't find a brand new car for that price anywhere. Another thing too, when I was paying rent, it was $800 back in 2017, 2018. And that was for a 3-bedroom. That same apartment right now is $1,400 a month for a 1-bedroom. House prices, I could literally write an essay. I could write a book. The interest rates, of course, were way lower, but the house prices were not crazy. I bought my house for $165,000. The houses in my neighborhood right now are going for almost $300K, which is crazy. I say all that to say you can't take accountability for things that are just simply not your fault. Jobs are not paying that much. The economy is going up. Eggs are $31. So when it comes to doing what you have to do to survive in this economy, do not feel bad. It's just a sacrifice.
I'll put my 60-day notice in this raggedy ass apartment because my rent went from $1,300 to $1,500. They're charging me $1,628 this month. I'll put my 60-day notice in. I'm not staying here. So they mad. And their policy is that you only have to pay your last month's of rent. Why are they charging me $2,600 to move out? I'm still moving out. I don't know where they're going to get the money from. They going to figure it out, but gotta get the fuck out of here.
How are we expecting people to rent when they have to pay first and last month's rent plus a security deposit? I have a family member, he's not on this app, and he is trying to get into an apartment complex, big corporate-owned apartment complex here in Tampa. 2-bedroom, 1 bath, 800 square feet, $1,600 a month. They have horrible reviews on Google. Not a great part of town, but it's what he can afford right now. And, you know, it's going to be, he knows it's a temporary thing. So he asked me if I'd be willing to co-sign on this apartment because this apartment complex is asking for first and last month's rent plus a large security deposit. And I said, no problem. I'd rather you take that money that you would normally have to apply towards the application process to get moved in and instead focus on like buying yourself groceries when you get moved in and having the funds to set up your utilities and all the things. And I went ahead and submitted all the documents that they asked of me, which was 3 months worth of bank statements, our 2023 tax return, as well as copies of contracts and payments made for my clients because I'm a 1099 employee, to show them that basically if for some reason he weren't able to pay his rent, it would default to me, and including my social security number, so they'd come after me. No problem. I trust this family member wholeheartedly and have no issue doing that. So I submitted all those documents and they called him today, and yes, they are still asking for first and last month's rent, and they are still requesting a security deposit. They lowered it. But let me just set the stage here. $1,600 a month is the rent. I provided them documentation to show that one of my clients, just one client that pays me in a month, would cover over 12 months of his rent. And I'm not saying that to brag. I'm saying this because this is the level of absurdity we have reached. You have someone that's co-signing to ensure that that apartment is paid for, that has proof, documentation, proof of funds to show that just one of my payments from one of my clients in a month that I provided a contract to show would cover his rent for the entire year. And yet that's not good enough to waive a security deposit or still make him pay first and last month's rent. What are we doing? Like, why are we making Gen Z like not be able to have a place to live? This is absurd. Like, I don't understand why somebody needs to be making over $1 million to show that you could waive the security deposit and not make them pay last month's rent. Like, I essentially showed them collectively that my husband and I make, I'm not going to say how much it is, but it's absurd. Because if he doesn't have a cosigner, like, how do people move into those places then? I don't get it. I don't understand what we're doing to this generation. Then I see a news report that mortgage rates are climbing back up again, 5-month high, 6.85%. I ain't buying in that market unless I can pay cash. So we rent. And I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that for us. But I'm also 20 years older. Like, and I've already lived, I don't, like, this is stupid at this point. I guess, what is that generation supposed to do if you don't have somebody co-signing for you? How do you expect them to come up with that type of cash for $1,600 a month rent? I don't understand what we're doing here. I don't understand it.
What's going on? Listen, so let me tell you all this. I had a customer earlier today, got her approved, but she just could not, and I understand, just could not to afford the monthly payments. Let me tell you the reason why. Her rent by itself for a 2-bedroom apartment was $1,900. I'm like, wow, that's how much you pay. Yeah. And only bring home a certain amount. So you factor in people out here paying $2,000. I had one customer paying $2,800, $3,000 a month for a mortgage. That is absolutely insane. I mean, I'm blessed and I'm realizing it. I can afford whatever I want, but at the same time, that's too much for rent. The homes is too high. The rent right now, I get it. I understand. And wow. There's some people out here in some tough situations because of just to pay for rent. $2,000-$3,000 for rent and mortgage. That's a lot of income. That's a lot of income going out. That's just by itself, not including car insurance and if you need a car and food. Inflation is just ridiculous. It is. And it's having a trickle-down effect on the car market, your food, everything. Pretty soon, man, I'm telling you, we're going to have to go back to having multiple people in the house just to survive. You need everybody in the family to just pull their fair share of the expenses. And I see why some cultures out here is doing that right now. I understand. Wow.
Last week, I came home and had a late rent notice on my door. And I was freaking out because I'm thinking, no, I paid my rent. I know I paid my rent. I paid my rent early. But I didn't put it past myself because there has been one time in the past where I went to pay my rent and I don't know, I guess I got distracted and didn't hit submit payment because I didn't pay my rent that month and got hit with a late fee and whatever. But I knew I paid my rent like a couple of days early. So I'm scrolling through my emails, find the payment confirmation, like, oh, okay, it was just a mistake. Let me let the property manager know. I said, hey girl, well, I didn't say that, but I said, hey girl, I have this late fee, but here's my payment confirmation. I already paid my rent. So if you could remove that from my account, like that'd be appreciated. And she emailed me back and was like, hey girl, the remaining balance on your account is security deposit. And I'm looking at my account. My account's looking at me. My account's saying $120 late fees. And I'm thinking, security deposit? I've been living here for 4 months. I didn't have to pay a security deposit to move in. Like, what is she talking about? You know what? She got me confused with someone else. Let me send her my lease. I screenshot my lease. I circle where it said $0 and I sent it off to her. It took her a few days to get back to me, but she finally got back to me today. You know what this lady said? She said, we did a financial audit and determined that you do need to pay a security deposit. So, if you could pay 1 month's rent towards the security deposit, so $1,201, and sign this paper and get it back to me, and just let me know if you have any questions. Girl, I don't have any questions because I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. Who do you think I am? I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. Girl, if you made that mistake, that's on you, but I promise you I'm not going to mess up this apartment. I'm just not that type of person, but I'm not doing that. And the fact that she sent me a whole nother lease. It wasn't even like a little bit of an amendment to my original lease. She sent me a whole nother lease that was identical to my original lease, except it had today's date and it had a security deposit on it. I'm not signing that. I'm not doing that. Girl, take that late fee on my account. Stop playing with me.
You cannot budget your way out of a bad economy and greed. I just saw a girl on here say her rent is going up from $1,300 to $1,800. Nothing's changing, just a $500 increase because they can do that. And it was so upsetting hearing the anger and frustration in her voice because obviously if she re-signs but can't make those monthly payments, she'll be facing eviction and homelessness. But if she chooses to relocate, that's also very expensive because a lot of places want first month, last month, and security deposit, which is oftentimes equivalent to 1 month's rent, which, by the way, rent these days, you're not finding anything under like $1,500. Then you have to pay for your U-Haul if you want to get movers, if you want to move across state lines to hopefully find something cheaper. Like, all of that adds up for one event, and you're looking at $7,000 or more. Now, who has that just sitting around in the bank these days? I would love to know. Tell me your secrets, please. But it's just scary. Even private landlords are being impacted because their property taxes are going up. So now they have to up the rent on their tenants. And I just want to know, where do we all fit in this system? What is the end goal here for us? And I hate to say this, but I feel like there is no end goal for us other than to be weeded out. We're not in the big picture. Our well-being, our basic human rights, food, shelter, that kind of stuff, that's not on the agenda of these private corporations who are upping the prices on these complexes, or the government and the economy that claim to care about us so much. We're not on their agenda. So like I said in the beginning, it's just scary because no matter how you try to sit there and go over your budget and review your monthly statements and try to stop spending here and stop spending there, you cannot budget your way out of a shitty economy and greed. I don't know. It's scary.